Dark Shadows, number 55, VTR 82666, Air 9966, take one.
My name is Victoria Winters. Violent death is not a stranger to Collinwood, where the wind howls in anguish and mourning for departed souls. It seems to be asking, why are they dead? And now a policeman is about to ask the same question.
Roger, this is Sheriff George Patterson.
Yes, I remember the sheriff. Is this visit in your official capacity?
I would say it was.
I couldn't tell you over the phone. It's about Bill Malloy.
What do you mean you found him? Where was he hiding out?
He wasn't. Oh, Roger.
There, Liz, it can't be that bad.
Well, I'm afraid it is, Mr. Collins. The thing is, we haven't found Mr. Malloy yet.
You haven't? Well, I don't understand.
Well, we're looking for him, but now we know where to look.
Oh?
Bill is dead. He drowned.
Bill? Dead?
We're taking your sister's word for that, and Matthew Morgan's.
But you said you hadn't found him.
Well, we haven't yet.
Well, then how do you know he's dead?
Well, last night when Carolyn and Miss Winters came screaming into the house, they did see a dead body. It was Bill's.
Matthew said there was nothing.
He was lying, Roger, lying to protect us.
Well, surely you don't think we had anything to do with it.
No, of course not. But, well, I would like to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind.
See why I didn't want to tell you a thing like that over the telephone.
No one knows about this?
No one except Matthew and the police.
Who notified the police?
I did, as soon as Matthew told me what he'd done.
What did he do?
Oh, Matthew didn't want Bill's body discovered at Collinswood. And so he pushed it back into the water and let the tide carry it away.
Why should he do a stupid thing like that?
For us, he thought by doing that he could save us from the curiosity seekers, the reporters, and the photographers.
Well, all he's done is add to the mystery. There'll be twice as many.
Well, maybe not, Mr. Collins. It isn't general knowledge that the body floated to shore here.
How could you possibly keep it from becoming general knowledge? We'd be awfully grateful.
Well, that depends.
What does it depend on?
Well, first of all, whether or not we find the body. And then, second, if we do find it, whether or not Bill actually drowned or if something else happened.
What are you suggesting?
I'm not suggesting anything. I'm saying that once I find the body, I can determine what course of action to take.
Hi, Pop. You want something?
No, I thought I'd stop by.
I thought you'd be hard at work painting a masterpiece by now.
Yeah, well, Burke Devlin called and canceled his sitting again.
Maybe he wants a few gray hairs before you do his portrait.
Well, he said he was going to be busy.
He's always busy.
Well, it's just as well I don't feel much like painting today.
Well, you didn't get much sleep last night.
No. That isn't it. It's... Look at that. I couldn't hold a brush even if I wanted to. It's shaking so much.
You used to want to.
Yes, I know.
Hey, how about a cup of coffee? It's good for what ails you. Say, maybe I do know what ails you. Hangover?
No, that has nothing to do with the way I feel. You, haven't heard anything about Bill Malloy?
Not a thing, but everybody's asking about him.
Who?
Well, the customers. I hear them talking.
What do they say?
That it's strange. He's not the type to go off like that.
Well, I suppose he had his reasons.
Well, that's what they're wondering about.
Was, Burke Devlin in this morning?
Nope.
Collins?
Roger Collins?
Hmm.
Nope, he hasn't been in.
Oh. Well, I, better try calling him at his office.
But why? You said that all Roger cared about was that you didn't do Burke's portrait.
Oh, so I did. I forgot. Well, I'd better call him and tell him that I haven't been able to reach Burke.
But, Pop, you just said that Burke had called and canceled the sitting.
I'm not myself, Maggie. It's Bill Malloy, not knowing.
I didn't know you were that close friends with him.
Well, we had a great deal in common.
Had? You mean have, don't you?
Yes, of course.
Thank you very much.
Roger?
No. No coffee. Liz, why didn't you call me immediately?
I tried to. They said you weren't there.
Of course I was there. Where else would I be?
I left word for you to call me.
What? Oh, well, I didn't get the message. Where is Matthew? There's some questions I would like to ask him myself.
He's out with Harry Shaw, showing him where he found the body. I've also notified the Coast Guard, so they'll know approximately where to look.
Well, is it possible that the body might not be recovered?
Well, anything is possible, but I hope they do find it. It'll be a help.
In what way?
Autopsy.
Autopsy. Is that necessary? I thought it was proven that he drowned. Or that at least you agreed that he had drowned.
Well, for one thing, it's the law.
I suppose if you see a man fall off a 12-story building, you have to have an autopsy to determine the source of his death.
Yes, we do.
Well, I never heard anything so ridiculous.
Well, for one thing, the party on the 12th story may have been shot before he fell.
Pop, you had something else on your mind when you came in. Now, what is it?
That letter I gave you, you put it here in the hotel safe?
Well, you told me to keep it in a safe place. What's safer than a safe?
Well, I've been thinking about what I said last night, and the letter itself really isn't that necessary.
Why not?
Well, because it serves its purpose whether it's there or not. The important thing is that somebody knows that letter exists.
Who?
No, doesn't matter.
Pop. Now, who would want to harm you?
I can't tell you. It involves others.
Does this person know that I have the letter?
Of course not. If he did, why... No, I didn't mention you at all. But just to be sure, you go and ask the clerk to get it and give it to you. And then you give it to me. You do that for me, will you, Maggie?
I don't think I will.
Maggie, I'm asking you. Go in the lobby and get me that letter.
First, you tell me why.
I told you why.
You haven't told me one single thing. You're in some kind of a mess. What kind, I don't know.
You don't have to know. Give it back to me and forget all about it.
Forget it. Forget the way you've been acting since Burke Devlin came back to Collinsport. Forget that you're my father, that I love you.
Just get me the letter.
Pop, you said that you were afraid that something might happen to you. Well, if it did and I didn't have that letter, I'd never know what it was all about. I'd never know who might want something to happen to you.
Maggie, you're holding a pistol to my head.
Oh, don't worry, Pop. I'm not going to pull the trigger.
Yeah. You might trip and pull it by accident.
When did you last see Bill, Mr. Collins?
10 o'clock, right here in this room.
He seemed like himself at that time, did he?
Yes?
Not worried or upset?
No. We discussed business.
Well, you may have been the last person to see him alive.
No, George. I talked to Bill's housekeeper, Mrs. Johnson, yesterday. She said that Bill was home at 10:30 last night. He got a phone call.
Well, I can check that out with Mrs. Johnson. Did she know who it was that called?
No, she didn't.
Well, at least we know he was still alive at 10:30.
Probably dead before 11.
Why do you say that?
Roger?
Well, I was supposed to meet him at 11 o'clock at my office to continue the business discussion. I went to the office and I waited for an hour. When he didn't show up, I came home.
Anybody at the plant who could verify those times? A night watchman or somebody?
As a matter of fact, there were two other people who could verify the whole thing. Burke Devlin and Sam Evans.
Well, what were they doing there?
I don't know. They said that Malloy had insisted that they meet in my office.
Well, that's a strange combination. Shouldn't think that you and Burke would... Well, are you friendly?
We are not.
I remember Bill thought quite a lot of Burke, but Evans? Any idea why he should be at a business meeting with you and Bill?
None at all. I was honestly surprised to see him there.
Well, didn't he say why he was there?
Well, he said Malloy called him and told him to be there. And he said he didn't know any more than that.
And Burke, what did he say?
The same thing. He knew nothing about it.
Well, the three of you just sat there for an hour and waited.
And at one point, Burke went to Malloy's house to see what was keeping him. And when he came back, he said that the house was dark and that nobody had answered the doorbell.
Well, at least we can pinpoint the time of death then at some time between 10:30 and 11.
Not necessarily.
Well, why not?
Well, he might have decided not to go to this strange meeting and gone somewhere else instead.
Well, that's true, but you'd think after going to all that trouble, he would have at least called to explain.
Oh, I don't know. I saw Bill that afternoon. He may have seemed perfectly normal to Roger, but I knew he was upset.
At what?
I couldn't say. I know it worried me at the time.
Well, did you ask him about it?
Yes, and all he said was that he had an important decision to make later.
Well, maybe he made it.
Made what?
That decision. We can't overlook the possibility of suicide.
Malloy, a suicide? Well, I must say that never occurred to me.
No, I don't think so.
Well, I have to admit, I wouldn't think he was the type to take his own life, but as I say, we can't overlook the possibility.
You know, the more I think about it, the more possible it seems.
What reason could he have?
Well, you did tell him that you were trying to get Ned Calder back here to take over his job, didn't you?
Yes, and he was delighted. He said so.
But that isn't necessarily what he thought. He had given his whole life to the Collins enterprise. He might very well have been depressed at the thought of being demoted after all the years of faithful service. He may have brooded over it until, well, his mind snapped.
Bill was much more interested in the fishing fleet than he was in the business end of the company. If Ned Calder had come back as general manager, he would have had more time to spend with what he really liked, the boats.
Is Ned Calder coming back?
No.
Well, did Bill know that he wasn't coming back?
Yes. Yes, he was there when I called him.
Well, what was his reaction?
He was sorry.
I see.
But you did say that he seemed terribly upset.
Yes, but not about Ned Calder. He was upset because he had a decision to make. So I refused to believe the possibility that he might have killed himself.
Well, I'm inclined to go along with that. Bill was a careful man, a methodical man. He wasn't the type to have left any loose strings lying around.
You seem to have known him pretty well.
Well, it's a small town, Mr. Collins. I know everyone in it quite well. Some people a great deal better than they like to think.
I know, lots of mayo. Coffee? Okay, I'll have it sent right up, Mr. Devlin. Well, thank you. Who? No, I haven't seen Bill Malloy. Okay.
That was Burke?
Yes, I guess he is busy. He just sent out for food. Say, does Burke have anything to do with that letter?
Why should it?
Well, process of elimination, I guess. I mean, it has to have something to do with Roger Collins or Burke.
Maggie.
Or both.
Stop trying to make all these wild guesses. I hate to have to think that you'd ever have to learn what's in that letter. If I wanted you to know, I would have told you instead of writing it.
Well, gee, you can't blame a girl for being curious. You know, maybe you have a girlfriend hidden away someplace and you're afraid her husband will find out.
What?
Well, I was only kidding, Pop. I mean, it can't be that serious or you'd let me in on it. Pop, you wrote that letter before Bill Malloy vanished. And you said that you'd let it be known that that letter existed. Did that have anything to do with Bill Malloy being missing?
Maggie, I told you to stop all this guessing. Oh, I'm not going to answer any of your theoretical questions.
But did the information have anything that was bad about Mr. Malloy?
About him? I don't know anything bad about him.
I mean, bad enough so that if he thought that you would blab it around town or that you'd written about it in a letter, that he might have decided that the best thing to do would be to leave town. What did you tell him anyway?
Well, I had a few drinks, a few too many. Heaven only knows what I told him.
Well, thanks for the coffee, Mrs. Stoddard.
You're quite welcome. Well, thank you for coming here so promptly. You will let us know the minute you hear anything from the Coast Guard, won't you?
Yes, I'll call you. Bill Malloy wasn't a secret drinker by any chance, was he?
Oh, you should know better than that.
Well, I thought I did, but I heard he was seen at the Blue Whale, drinking by himself just day before yesterday.
He may have had a few drinks, but not enough to... Why do you bring that up?
Well, I was just wondering if he might have had enough to explain his falling in the water accidentally.
Well, now that you mention it, he did seem a bit under the weather. And that was at 10 o'clock, you know.
Well, I'll ask his housekeeper. She's a teetotaler, and she's sure to have noticed a thing like that. Well, there are several more people I want to question as well, including Burke Devlin and Sam Evans. Well, I'll be in touch. Goodbye.
Well, how much of what you told him was the truth? You lied to me, didn't you?
Do we have to stand out here in the hallway and discuss this?
I don't care where we discuss it.
There are ears in this house primed to pick up tidbits of information.
At the moment, we're the only ones here. Unless, of course, you intend to include the ghosts of your past.
Very well. I and my ghost want a drink. My nerves are shot.
You distinctly led me to believe that you were to meet Bill Malloy on a business matter alone.
Did I deny that anyone else was present?
Omitting the truth is the same as lying.
Miss, why must you jump on every little thing so vehemently? It's true that I didn't mention that Burke or Evans was at this meeting, but I did it. I had reasons for it.
And suppose you explain your reasons to me.
I did it because of you.
Because of me?
I knew that you would be upset by it, and I didn't see any point in bringing it up until I had first found out from Malloy what was the purpose of this meeting and then why he didn't appear at it.
Do you mean to tell me that Bill called a meeting consisting of himself and 3 other men, and the 3 other men you didn't know what it was for?
That's precisely what I'm trying to tell you.
Well, what did Burke and Mr. Evans say? What did they think?
Well, they were as mystified as I was. Oh, Burke exploded all over the place. He pretended to think the meeting was supposed to reveal something about his manslaughter charge.
Maybe that was what the meeting was for. Bill told me that even though I disapproved, he was going ahead with some plan to prove Burke's innocence.
Liz, I have told you again and again that all the evidence was brought out in the trial.
That's what I told Bill, but he thought he could uncover some new evidence.
I'm tired of defending myself. I will tell you now outright that it was a pack of lies.
Bill wouldn't have lied to me.
But then he's been repeating lies that have been told to him. Don't you see that Burke Devlin is out to murder me? He's out to destroy me.
Bill said he had some evidence that could set aside Burke's conviction.
Lies, all lies. If you can ever accept that premise, then you will believe me. You've got to believe me.
Yes, I have to. I have to believe you.
Pop, Mr. Malloy is a fair man. Maybe he can help you.
Yes. Yes. Maybe he is the one man that can help me.
Morning, Maggie. Sam?
Hi. Coffee?
Yes, and one of those donuts, please. Well, how you been, Sam? I haven't seen you around lately.
Oh, been keeping pretty much to myself.
How's the artwork coming?
Slow. I get an occasional commission.
Somebody told me you were going to do a portrait of Burke Devlin.
Who told you that?
Well, you know what Collinsport is like, Sam. Rumors fly around like moths around a candle. Of course, being sheriff, I'm always the last one to hear anything.
Collinsport Restaurant.
Is there any reason why I shouldn't do a portrait of Burke?
Well, not that I can think of.
Sheriff, it's for you.
Oh, thank you.
I can't stay here, Maggie. Tell George I had to leave.
What's the matter?
I can't tell you.
I'll have to skip the coffee, Maggie. That was the Coast Guard. They found Bill Malloy. He's dead.
The King is Coming. Watch the advance premiere of The Milton Berle Show in color tonight on ABC. Dark Shadows is a Dan Curtis production.